On a quiet spring morning on May 31, 2014, in the suburban town of Waukesha, Wisconsin, three 12-year-old girls embarked on what seemed like an ordinary walk through the woods. However, what followed shocked the world and drew attention to the darker corners of the internet. Two of those girls, Geyser and Anissa Weier, lured their friend, Payton Leutner, into a secluded area and carried out an act of violence so horrifying it was almost unimaginable for children their age. Their motive? To appease a fictional character born out of an internet meme known as Slender Man, this crime quickly became one of the most infamous examples of how online myths and cultural phenomena can bleed into real-life actions, particularly when they influence impressionable young minds. The Slender Man stabbing was not just a crime of violence but a cautionary tale about the impact of digital media, mental health, and the fragile line between fiction and reality for vulnerable youths. To understand the Slender Man stabbing, one must first delve into the origins of this eerie figure. Slender Man was created in 2009 on an internet forum called Something Awful during a Photoshop contest where users were tasked with creating paranormal images. One user, Eric Knudsen, under the pseudonym Victor Surge, submitted two black and white photos of children with a tall, faceless figure in a black suit ominously standing in the background. These images were accompanied by cryptic captions suggesting that the figure abducted or harmed the children. The concept quickly gained traction and evolved as users added their own stories, artwork, and videos, building a rich mythology around Slender Man. In these tales, Slender Man was often depicted as a malevolent entity who could manipulate his victims' thoughts, stalk them relentlessly, and force them to commit unspeakable acts. He was said to live in forests and prey upon children and teenagers, making his presence felt through an unsettling influence rather than direct violence. What made Slender Man unique was the collaborative nature of his creation. Unlike traditional urban legends, which often originate from word-of-mouth folklore, Slender Man was a crowdsourced myth that thrived in the digital age. Websites like Creepypasta and YouTube became hubs for fans to share stories and videos, further blurring the lines between reality and fiction. Geyser and Anissa Weier were two such children drawn into the Slender Man mythos. Both girls were avid readers of creepypasta and spent hours consuming stories about the character. For Morgan, who was later diagnosed with early-onset schizophrenia, Slender Man was not just a fictional entity but a real and omnipresent figure. She believed that he had the power to harm her and her family if she did not comply with his demands. Anissa, while not delusional, was deeply influenced by the stories and became convinced that helping Morgan appease Slender Man was the only way to avoid his wrath. The two girls developed a plan to kill their friend Payton Leutner as a sacrifice to Slender Man. They believed that this act would prove their loyalty and allow them to become his proxies, earning his protection and the privilege of living in his mythical mansion in the woods. The idea seemed absurd to an adult, but for these impressionable children, it was terrifyingly real. Morgan, Anissa, and Payton had been friends for years, sharing the typical interests of middle schoolers. Payton, known to her friends as Bella, was kind-hearted and trusting, which made her an easy target for the betrayal that lay ahead. On May 30, 2014, the three girls had a sleepover at Morgan's house to celebrate her birthday. They played games, ate snacks, and stayed up late, seemingly an ordinary gathering of preteens. However, Morgan and Anissa had already decided that this night would mark the beginning of their plan. Initially, they intended to kill Payton during the sleepover by stabbing her in her sleep. But nerves got the better of them, and they decided to wait until the following day. The next morning, the three girls ventured to a nearby park called David's Park, where they played on the swings before heading into the woods. Morgan and Anissa had decided that the secluded forest was the perfect place to carry out their plan, away from prying eyes. Once they were deep in the woods, Morgan and Anissa began to carry out their horrifying scheme. Anissa suggested that Morgan should stab Payton, telling her to go ballistic. Morgan hesitated, but after encouragement from Anissa, she began stabbing Payton repeatedly. Payton was struck 19 times, with wounds to her arms, legs, and torso. One stab wound narrowly missed a major artery near her heart, a wound that could have been fatal had it struck just a fraction closer. As Payton lay bleeding on the forest floor, Morgan and Anissa told her to stay put and promised to get help, but they had no intention of doing so. Instead, they left her there and began walking toward a forest in another part of the state, believing that they would find Slender Man's mansion and take refuge there. Despite her severe injuries, Payton showed remarkable courage and strength. She managed to drag herself out of the woods and onto a nearby path, where a passing cyclist found her. The cyclist immediately called 911, and Payton was rushed to the hospital. Her survival was nothing short of a miracle. Doctors later stated that the stab wounds came dangerously close to causing fatal damage. Payton's account of the attack shocked law enforcement and medical staff alike. She revealed that her two best friends had lured her into the woods and attacked her as part of a plan to please Slender Man. This revelation set off a nationwide media frenzy, with headlines questioning how two young girls could commit such a brutal act. Morgan and Anissa were apprehended later that day, walking along the side of the road. When questioned by police, they calmly recounted their belief in Slender Man and their reasons for attacking Payton. Their lack of remorse and the bizarre nature of their confession stunned investigators. Anissa described how she had read about Slender Man on the internet and convinced herself that he was real, while Morgan's statements revealed the depth of her delusions. Both girls were charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide, a crime that would typically warrant trial as adults under Wisconsin law. Their arrests marked the beginning of a complex legal battle that would explore not only the details of their crime but also the psychological and social factors that led to it. The Slender Man stabbing highlighted the darker side of internet culture and the vulnerability of young minds to online influences. It raised critical questions about how children interact with digital media and the responsibility of parents, educators, and society to guide and protect them. The case also underscored the importance of mental health awareness, particularly in identifying and addressing issues in children before they escalate into tragedy. As this story unfolds in subsequent parts, the focus will shift to the legal proceedings, the mental health evaluations of Morgan and Anissa, and the enduring impact of the Slender Man stabbing on Payton Leutner, her family, and society as a whole. The Slender Man stabbing quickly became a legal quagmire due to the age of the perpetrators. Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier were both 12 years old at the time of the attack, but Wisconsin law allows for juveniles to be charged as adults in cases involving serious felonies. Given the severity of the crime, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, prosecutors argued that the case warranted adult charges. The decision sparked a nationwide debate. On one side, critics argued that trying the girls as adults ignored their age, cognitive development, and capacity for rehabilitation. On the other side, proponents contended that the brutality of the crime and the premeditated nature of their actions necessitated the adult court's harsher sentencing options. Ultimately, the judge ruled that both girls would stand trial in adult court, a decision that would significantly impact the trajectory of their cases. As part of the legal process, both Morgan and Anissa underwent extensive mental health evaluations. These assessments revealed stark differences in their psychological states, which played a critical role in the court proceedings. Morgan Geyser. Morgan was diagnosed with early-onset schizophrenia, a rare and severe mental illness that often manifests during adolescence or early adulthood. Her delusions about Slender Man were symptomatic of her condition, as she genuinely believed he was real and capable of harming her family if she disobeyed him. Morgan's mental illness was a key factor in her defense, as her attorneys argued that she was incapable of distinguishing right from wrong at the time of the crime. Anissa Weier, unlike Morgan, Anissa did not have a diagnosable mental illness but exhibited signs of delusional thinking and susceptibility to influence. Psychologists noted that Anissa was particularly vulnerable to peer pressure and deeply immersed in the Slender Man mythos. While she did not experience the same level of detachment from reality as Morgan, her belief in Slender Man was strong enough to cloud her judgment and drive her participation in the crime. These evaluations became pivotal in determining the girls' sentences, as the court grappled with the intersection of mental health and criminal responsibility. The trials of Morgan and Anissa drew intense media attention, with journalists and true crime enthusiasts closely following every development. The courtroom became a battleground for conflicting narratives, as prosecutors painted the girls as calculated and dangerous, while defense attorneys emphasized their youth and psychological vulnerabilities. Prosecutors highlighted the premeditated nature of the crime, pointing to the detailed planning that Morgan and Anissa undertook in the months leading up to the stabbing. They argued that the girls knew their actions were wrong, as evidenced by their initial hesitation and their attempt to mislead Payton about their intentions. The prosecution sought to hold the girls fully accountable for their actions. Advocating for lengthy sentences to protect society, the defense countered by emphasizing the girls' immaturity and mental health struggles. Morgan's attorneys focused on her schizophrenia diagnosis, arguing that her delusions about Slender Man rendered her incapable of rational thought. Anissa's defense team highlighted her susceptibility to influence and lack of a criminal mindset, portraying her as a misguided child rather than a malicious offender. The contrasting narratives underscored the complexity of the case, forcing the court to weigh the girls' culpability against their psychological states and potential for rehabilitation. Both Morgan and Anissa ultimately accepted plea deals, avoiding the uncertainty of a full trial. These agreements reflected the unique circumstances of their cases. Anissa pleaded guilty to attempted second-degree intentional homicide as part of her plea deal. The court sentenced her to 25 years in a mental health institution, with the possibility of supervised release after serving 3 years. During her sentencing, Anissa expressed remorse for her actions and acknowledged the devastating impact on Payton and her family. Morgan pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Due to her schizophrenia diagnosis, she was sentenced to a maximum of 40 years in a mental health facility, with periodic evaluations to determine whether she remained a danger to herself or others. Morgan's defense team emphasized that her sentence was necessary to ensure she received the psychiatric care she needed. The outcomes of the case elicited strong reactions from the public. While some praised the sentences as a fair balance between accountability and rehabilitation, others criticized the harshness of the punishments, particularly for Anissa. The case reignited debates about the juvenile justice system, mental health treatment, and the influence of digital media on impressionable minds. Critics of the justice system argued that the case exposed its shortcomings in addressing the unique needs of young offenders. They questioned whether incarceration in mental health facilities truly rehabilitated the girls or merely punished them for actions rooted in psychological vulnerabilities. Advocates for reform called for greater emphasis on early intervention and mental health education to prevent similar tragedies. The legal proceedings of Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier set a precedent for how courts handle cases involving juveniles with severe psychological issues. Their trials highlighted the need for nuanced approaches that consider both the seriousness of the crime and the developmental and mental health factors at play. As the girls began their sentences, their stories continued to serve as a sobering reminder of the complex interplay between digital culture, mental health, and the justice system. In the next part, the focus shifts to Payton Leutner, the victim who survived this harrowing ordeal, and the lasting impact of the Slender Man stabbing on her life and on broader societal discussions about internet safety and youth mental health. Payton Leutner's survival following the brutal stabbing was nothing short of miraculous. After being attacked and left for dead in the woods, Payton managed to crawl to a nearby path where she was discovered by a cyclist. Covered in blood and barely conscious, she was rushed to the hospital. Her injuries were severe. She had been stabbed 19 times, with wounds to her arms, legs, and torso. One of the knife wounds had narrowly missed a major artery near her heart by less than a millimeter. Doctors were astonished by her will to live. Payton underwent emergency surgery to repair her injuries, and against all odds, she pulled through. Her recovery marked the beginning of a long and challenging journey. Not just physically but emotionally and psychologically, the physical toll of the attack was immense. Payton spent weeks in the hospital recovering from her injuries. Her body bore the scars of the attack, serving as a permanent reminder of the trauma she endured. Despite the extent of her injuries, Payton's resilience shone through as she began to heal. Her medical team described her as brave and determined, facing each step of her recovery with a remarkable strength for someone so young. Physical therapy became a routine part of her life, helping her regain mobility and rebuild her strength. While her scars eventually began to fade, the journey to full recovery was far from over. The emotional impact of the attack was equally profound. Payton was betrayed by two of her closest friends, an experience that left her grappling with issues of trust and fear. In the immediate aftermath, she experienced nightmares, flashbacks, and anxiety, all hallmarks of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. To help her cope, Payton underwent extensive therapy. Counselors worked with her to process the trauma and rebuild her sense of safety. Over time, she developed coping mechanisms to manage the psychological scars left by the attack. Her family provided unwavering support, creating a safe and nurturing environment that was essential to her healing, despite the enormity of what she endured. Payton emerged as a symbol of resilience and courage. Her survival story inspired countless people, many of whom saw her as a beacon of hope and strength. In interviews years after the attack, Payton spoke about her determination to move forward with her life, refusing to let the actions of her attackers define her. She returned to school and gradually reintegrated into her community, rebuilding her life one step at a time. Payton's bravery and determination were recognized by those around her, with teachers, friends, and even strangers expressing admiration for her strength. As Payton grew older, she began to share her story publicly. In a televised interview marking the 5th anniversary of the attack, she spoke candidly about her experiences and the challenges she faced. Her decision to speak out was driven by a desire to help others who might be struggling with trauma. In her interviews, Payton emphasized the importance of resilience and the power of support systems. She also expressed gratitude for the people who saved her life, from the cyclist who found her to the doctors and nurses who cared for her. Her story became a testament to the human capacity for recovery and strength. While Payton has shown remarkable resilience, the long-term effects of the attack remain a part of her life. She continues to navigate the emotional aftermath, working to maintain her mental health and sense of safety. Her family has played a crucial role in supporting her, ensuring that she has access to the resources she needs to thrive. Payton's experience has also shaped her outlook on life. She has spoken about her determination to pursue a career in medicine, inspired by the healthcare professionals who saved her. Her story serves as a powerful reminder of the impact that kindness and support can have on a person's recovery journey. In addition to sharing her story, Payton has become an advocate for issues related to youth mental health and online safety. She has used her platform to raise awareness about the dangers of digital media, emphasizing the need for parents and educators to monitor children's online activity. Payton's message is clear: while the internet can be a valuable resource, it also has the potential to influence vulnerable minds in dangerous ways. Her advocacy work has sparked important conversations about the role of digital culture in shaping young people's perceptions and behaviors. Payton's survival and recovery had a profound impact on her community. The residents of Waukesha rallied around her and her family, offering support in countless ways. Fundraisers were held to help cover medical expenses, and messages of encouragement poured in from across the country. Her story also inspired efforts to promote kindness and compassion within the community. Schools and local organizations implemented programs focused on mental health awareness and bullying prevention, aiming to create a safer and more supportive environment for young people. Today, Payton Leutner is seen as a symbol of hope and resilience. Her ability to overcome unimaginable trauma and rebuild her life serves as an inspiration to others facing their own challenges. While the scars of the attack will always be a part of her story, they do not define her. Instead, they stand as a testament to her strength and determination. As Payton's journey continues, she remains committed to using her experiences to make a positive impact on the world. Her story is a powerful reminder that even in the face of darkness, there is always the possibility of healing and hope. The Slender Man stabbing case highlights the dangerous interplay between the online world and the real world. The rise of internet urban legends, such as Slender Man, illustrates how fictional stories can gain a life of their own, often with unintended consequences. Unlike traditional folklore, which is passed down through generations orally or in print, digital myths spread at lightning speed, amplified by social media platforms, forums, and online communities. Slender Man originated in 2009 as part of a Photoshop contest on the website Something Awful. The character's eerie appearance, a faceless, tall man in a black suit, combined with chilling captions about children disappearing, resonated with online audiences. Soon, fan-created content, including short stories, illustrations, and videos, expanded the Slender Man mythology. Creepypasta, a website dedicated to user-generated horror stories, became a hub for sharing these narratives, further embedding Slender Man into digital culture. While Slender Man was widely regarded as a work of fiction, its impact on impressionable individuals, particularly children and teenagers, cannot be underestimated. The collaborative nature of the Slender Man mythos blurred the line between fiction and reality, making it difficult for some to discern truth from fantasy. This was especially true for young people like Geyser and Anissa Weier, who were deeply immersed in the myth and lacked the critical thinking skills to question its authenticity. The internet's ability to foster niche communities also played a role in reinforcing the girls' beliefs. Through creepypasta and related forums, they encountered like-minded individuals who treated Slender Man as if he were real. This created an echo chamber where their fears and fantasies were validated rather than challenged. Both Morgan and Anissa were described as socially isolated, a factor that made them more susceptible to the allure of the Slender Man myth. For Morgan, who struggled with undiagnosed schizophrenia, the internet provided an escape from her everyday challenges. Anissa, who often felt out of place among her peers, found solace in the online world, where she could immerse herself in stories that captivated her imagination. The case underscores the potential dangers of online escapism, particularly for vulnerable youth. While the internet can serve as a valuable tool for learning and connection, it can also expose children to harmful content and ideas. Without proper guidance from parents, teachers, and mentors, young people may find themselves drawn into dark corners of the digital world, where fantasy and reality can dangerously overlap. The Slender Man case raised important questions about the role of parental supervision in the digital age. Critics argued that Morgan and Anissa's parents should have been more aware of their children's online activities and the content they were consuming. However, the case also highlighted the challenges parents face in monitoring their children's digital lives. In today's interconnected world, children often have access to smartphones, tablets, and computers, making it difficult for parents to keep track of every website they visit or conversation they have online. Additionally, many parents are unaware of platforms like creepypasta or the subcultures that exist within them, leaving them ill-equipped to recognize potential red flags. Experts emphasize the importance of open communication between parents and children about internet use. Encouraging children to share their online interests and teaching them critical thinking skills can help them navigate the digital world safely. Schools also play a role in promoting digital literacy, equipping students with the tools they need to evaluate online content critically. The Slender Man stabbing is a stark reminder of the broader implications of digital culture. It forces society to confront uncomfortable truths about how the internet shapes behavior, particularly among young people. The case raises several pressing questions. How do we protect vulnerable individuals from harmful online influences? The internet is an open platform where both positive and negative content coexist. Striking a balance between freedom of expression and safeguarding users is a complex challenge that requires cooperation between tech companies, educators, and policymakers. What responsibility do online platforms have in moderating content? Websites like creepypasta, which host user-generated content, often walk a fine line between creativity and harm. While most users view the content as entertainment, cases like the Slender Man stabbing demonstrate the potential for unintended consequences. This raises questions about the extent to which platforms should regulate content and the ethical considerations involved. How do we teach digital literacy effectively? Digital literacy is critical in helping individuals navigate the vast amount of information available online. Teaching young people how to evaluate sources, recognize misinformation, and understand the difference between fiction and reality is essential in preventing similar tragedies. In the aftermath of the Slender Man stabbing, many organizations and communities began taking steps to address the issues highlighted by the case. Schools incorporated lessons on digital safety and critical thinking into their curricula, while advocacy groups launched campaigns to raise awareness about the dangers of online influence. Tech companies also faced increased scrutiny over their role in moderating content. Platforms like YouTube and Reddit, which host user-generated content similar to creepypasta, implemented stricter guidelines to prevent the spread of harmful narratives. These measures, while not foolproof, represent an important step toward creating a safer online environment. Despite these efforts, the Slender Man case continues to spark debate. It serves as a cautionary tale about the unintended consequences of digital culture, forcing society to grapple with questions that have no easy answers. How do we balance creativity and safety in online spaces? What role should parents, educators, and tech companies play in protecting young people? And perhaps most importantly, how do we ensure that tragedies like this never happen again? The internet is a double-edged sword, offering unprecedented opportunities for connection and creativity while posing significant risks. The Slender Man stabbing is a tragic example of how these risks can manifest, particularly for vulnerable individuals. It is a reminder that as society becomes increasingly digitized, the need for vigilance, education, and compassion has never been greater. As the world reflects on the lessons of the Slender Man case, one thing is clear: the digital age requires a collective effort to ensure that the tools designed to enrich our lives do not inadvertently cause harm. A cautionary tale for the digital age, the Slender Man stabbing has left an indelible mark on society, serving as a chilling reminder of how easily the lines between fiction and reality can blur for impressionable young minds. This case highlighted the urgent need for greater awareness, understanding, and action in addressing the risks posed by digital culture, mental health challenges, and juvenile crime. As we reflect on the lessons learned, it is essential to explore the ways this case has shaped discussions about youth, technology, and justice. Geyser and Anissa Weier were only 12 years old when they committed their shocking crime. Their young age underscores the vulnerability of children to influence, particularly when exposed to immersive digital content. Children and teenagers often lack the cognitive maturity to critically evaluate what they encounter online. For Morgan, who suffered from undiagnosed schizophrenia, the internet became a gateway for her delusions to manifest in dangerous ways. This case emphasized the importance of fostering resilience and critical thinking in children. Educators and parents must equip young people with the tools to question what they see online, recognize harmful content, and differentiate between fiction and reality. Mental health education also plays a crucial role, ensuring that children and their families can identify warning signs and seek help before a crisis occurs. Morgan's schizophrenia diagnosis was a pivotal factor in understanding her role in the crime. Her condition led her to believe that Slender Man was real and capable of harming her family if she did not obey him. The lack of early intervention in Morgan's mental health struggles raises questions about how society identifies and addresses mental illness in children. This case has prompted increased advocacy for early mental health screenings in schools and pediatric settings. By identifying mental health challenges early, professionals can intervene before these issues escalate into harmful behaviors. Additionally, reducing the stigma around mental illness is essential in encouraging families to seek support without fear of judgment. The Internet played a central role in the Slender Man case, both as the origin of the myth and as a platform that amplified its reach. While the digital world offers incredible opportunities for creativity and connection, it also harbors dark corners where harmful narratives can thrive. The collaborative nature of the Slender Man mythos blurred the line between storytelling and reality, creating a dangerous environment for those unable to distinguish the two. This case has spurred conversations about the responsibility of online platforms in moderating content. While free expression is a cornerstone of the Internet, there is a growing recognition that platforms must take steps to minimize the spread of harmful or misleading information. This includes implementing stricter content guidelines, enhancing moderation tools, and promoting digital literacy programs that teach users how to navigate online spaces safely. The decision to try Morgan and Anissa as adults sparked a nationwide debate about the juvenile justice system. Critics argued that trying children as adults ignores their developmental immaturity and potential for rehabilitation. Others contended that the severity of the crime warranted adult charges to ensure accountability and public safety. The Slender Man case highlighted the need for a more nuanced approach to juvenile justice. While accountability is essential, the justice system must also prioritize rehabilitation and consider the unique circumstances of each case. For young offenders, this means providing access to mental health treatment, education, and support programs that address the root causes of their behavior. In the wake of the Slender Man case, schools, advocacy groups, and tech companies have taken steps to create a safer digital environment for children. Educational programs now focus on teaching digital literacy, emphasizing the importance of evaluating online content critically and recognizing the potential dangers of immersive online narratives. Parents are also encouraged to engage with their children's online activities, fostering open communication about the content they consume and the communities they engage with. By creating a supportive and informed environment, parents can help their children navigate the digital world safely. Tech companies, meanwhile, face increasing pressure to take responsibility for the content hosted on their platforms. This includes developing advanced moderation systems, promoting positive digital interactions, and ensuring that harmful content does not reach vulnerable users. Payton Leutner's survival and recovery stand as a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Her story has inspired countless individuals, offering a message of hope and resilience in the face of unimaginable trauma. Payton's decision to share her journey publicly has helped raise awareness about the dangers of digital influence and the importance of mental health support. Her advocacy work continues to spark meaningful conversations about the challenges facing young people in the digital age. By speaking out, Payton has transformed her experience into a powerful force for positive change, ensuring that her story serves as a catalyst for action. The Slender Man's stabbing will forever be a reminder of the complexities of the digital age. It has exposed vulnerabilities in how society protects its youngest members, highlighted the urgent need for mental health awareness, and raised questions about the responsibilities of online platforms. As we move forward, it is essential to learn from this tragedy and take proactive steps to prevent similar incidents. This includes fostering critical thinking in children, supporting mental health initiatives, promoting safer digital spaces, and advocating for a justice system that balances accountability with compassion. The Slender Man case may have started as a dark chapter in the digital era, but its legacy has the potential to shape a brighter and safer future for generations to come.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our videos. We bring you the most intriguing and mysterious true crime stories. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us on this journey to uncover the truth today.